It's hard to imagine that Resident Evil is about to turn 30 years old next year in 2026, and with such a massive year to celebrate Capcom's most successful franchise, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that we may get some big juicy reveals to celebrate the anniversary with the announcement of some big Resident Evil games in development. It's been almost 2 years since the most recent game in the series, Resident Evil 4 Remake, was released, and with 2024 proving to be a radio-silent year as far as Resident Evil announcements were concerned, 2025 is likely going to be a massive year to energize Resident Evil fans for a colossal anniversary next year. With heavily rumored games being developed according to insiders, and by looking back at the titles revealed from Capcom's 2020 data breach, let's try to piece together a comprehensive look at what the next several Resident Evil games may be. So if you can't wait to get more RE around the corner, boulder punch that like button and comment down below which of these games you'd like to see as we dive into Resident Evil's 30th anniversary. Let's kick things off with Capcom's 2020 data breach that occurred late that year when 4 Resident Evil games, along with a number of other Capcom titles, were leaked. While a lot of these games have actually released by now, there remain a good amount that are still lurking in the shadows, with these either still being worked on or perhaps just as likely quietly having been cancelled. Let's first go over these games to see if some of these titles have a shot at being included in the current assortment of RE games currently in development over at Capcom. From this list of games that were leaked during Capcom's data breach in 2020, we see that there are 4 games from the Resident Evil franchise that were leaked. Of the 4, one of them being Resident Evil 4 Remake, released in 2023. The game that follows is Resident Evil Apocalypse, which is widely considered to be the 9th Resident Evil game, which fans were predicting would be announced last year with a 2025 release date. While we still don't know when the game will actually finally get announced, we do know that the game is in active development and is being directed by Resident Evil 7 Biohazard director Koshi Nakanishi. While that's about everything we know that is confirmed to be true regarding Resident Evil 9, there is an ever-growing mountain of leaks that has been hitting the game over the past several years, from preliminary game design and level elements to recent playtest leaks suggesting a Resident Evil game on a scale we haven't yet seen in the series. I'll have this video linked in the description and at the end of this video if you're interested in catching up on the most up-to-date history of RE9 leaks, but with Resident Evil's 30th anniversary happening a year from now, expect to see this game get its proper reveal sometime this year. Getting back to the 2020 Capcom data breach, the 2 Resident Evil games that we have heard very little about as far as leaks and rumors are concerned regard Resident Evil Outrage and Resident Evil Hunk. Let's dive into these two. Resident Evil Outrage was rumored to be many things, with insiders changing their tune on the game the further into 2021 we got, and well, we haven't heard anything about the game ever since the leaks, and many are wondering if the title was outright cancelled. Early rumors had the game be a timed Switch exclusive title that serves as Revelations 3 in everything but name, as the title of the game was said to be changed to Resident Evil Outrage. Dusk Golem, the insider who leaked with impressive detail Resident Evil Village before it was announced, revealed as such, only to find as the months turned into years that development on Outrage was either postponed indefinitely or was ultimately cancelled. About what the game was rumored to be, it was said to star returning character Rebecca Chambers, who served a prominent role in both Resident Evil 1 and RE0, searching for a cure for a virus that infects people with uncontrollable rage. Others within the Resident Evil community claimed that Outrage was going to be yet another attempt by Capcom to create a multiplayer Resident Evil game. If only Capcom knew that simply remaking Resident Evil Outbreak would be the winning ticket for that one, but a brand new entry in the Revelations series would likely go down well with the RE fans, right? These 2 Revelations titles are both pretty unique and awesome games that feature some legacy Resident Evil characters that haven't been featured in the past several mainline Resident Evils, and with Jill Valentine and Claire Redfield having served their roles in Revelations 1 and 2, having Rebecca Chambers in Revelations 3, Outrage or not, would be great to see. I'd love to see if this game ever sees the light of day, but for now, it stands as a game that still could see a reveal at some point in the coming years. Returning to the 2020 leaks, the only Resident Evil game left to discuss is Resident Evil Hunk, and well, what's more to say about this one? Definitely sounds like this game is slated to be a game surrounding Hunk, one of the most pivotal characters in all of Resident Evil who played a big role in the Raccoon City incident and debuted in Resident Evil 2. A game about Hunk would definitely be compelling, but his brevity in the series is also one of the reasons why this legendary Umbrella Security Service Alpha Team commander is so popular. Regardless, we can't go wrong with more Hunk. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you think we'll see this game get the light of day, and if you'd like to see Hunk get his own game. I understand that his big appeal is his mysterious and badass aura about him, and that perhaps an entire Resident Evil game dedicated to this fan favorite may be a bit too much, but if you ask me, I'd be down to see this game happen. According to the 2020 leaks, this game was aimed for a Q4 2024 release date, so if this one is still being worked on, I'd imagine this one dropping a few years down the road. While there were only 4 titles that were revealed from the 2020 Capcom data breach, there are likely even more Resident Evil games in development, since this report was leaked an entire 4 years ago. A lot can happen in 4 years, so let's go over some insider information that suggests even more games that are likely in development. I should have mentioned this much earlier in the video, but take all this info with grains of salt. None of this stuff is confirmed, obviously outside of the 4-year-old Capcom data breach, so just keep your expectations in check. Early last year in 2024, series insider Dusk revealed that, including Resident Evil 9, that 5 Resident Evil games were in active development, with the second and third game of these 5 games being later revealed to be remakes of Resident Evil Code Veronica and Resident Evil 0. I did a recent video about the potential future remakes of the Resident Evil series, again linked in the description, as we go into all this with much greater detail, but essentially, Capcom did confirm in late 2023 after Resident Evil 4 Remake released that they are working on even more Resident Evil remakes, so a potential Code Veronica and RE0 remake are both likely to, at the very least, happen in the future, or are probably being worked on right now. With Dusk stating in May 2024 that the RE0 remake is being led by both K2 and M2, studios who did support work for the Separate Ways DLC for Resident Evil 4 Remake, and with Capcom Dev 1 team, responsible for the RE2 and RE4 remakes, working on Code Veronica, supposing this turns out to be true, would be a huge win for the series. Code Veronica in particular has always been the most requested remake of the bunch, so seeing more of these older titles get remakes definitely fits the bill here, as these remakes are among the best-selling Resident Evil games of all time. Now, onto that final leak that got a lot of attention last year. According to BioDeclassified on Twitter, another remake of Resident Evil 1 is supposedly in development, and while Dusk has stated that he has heard nothing of the sort, apparently this remake of the very first RE game would be quite faithful to that of the 2002 GameCube remake, containing the Crimson Head enemies, the Lisa Trevor sequence, and more that made the 2002 remake so spectacular. This remake would transition away from the fixed camera angles to an RE engine over-the-shoulder remake of the Spencer Mansion and surrounding areas, providing potentially the best-looking iteration of Resident Evil 1 yet. Again, all of this stuff was discussed at length in the most recent video I did, linked in the description, so definitely check that video out if you're interested in seeing what Capcom has in store for us regarding potential Resident Evil remakes. In line with possible remakes Capcom may be working on, Craig Bernatowski, the voice actor for Albert Wesker in the recent Separate Ways DLC for Resident Evil 4 Remake, claimed that he is working on a new game. While extremely vague, we do know that his role as Wesker could imply that Capcom is indeed hard at work on the next remake of Resident Evil, which many fans, myself included, presume could be anything from Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil 0, or a Resident Evil 1 remake. Thing is, Wesker is in all of those games, so it is pretty likely that Craig is hinting at either one of these RE games to serve as the next remake in the series. This, of course, assumes that the voice actor isn't referring to work he has going on with other games, but you get the point. Thanks to Capcom, we know that they are going to be remaking even more of the classic Resident Evil titles. So now it's just a matter of which remake comes first at this point. With Resident Evil's 30th anniversary right around the corner, expect this year, 2025, to be a big one, full of Resident Evil announcements. Resident Evil is a cash cow, and Capcom has done some incredible things with the franchise in recent years, so let's hope to hear more about any one of these games in an official capacity this year. That said, which games are you most hoping actually is getting worked on or will get announced soon? Sound off in the comments as we brace ourselves for some big announcements in time for the upcoming anniversary. That's all I got for you in this one, my friends. Find me over in this video as we go over everything we know about Resident Evil 9, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.